And growing up in the 60s, as I did, everybody at school played something, it seemed like, you know, especially with the rock revolution and the Beatles coming along in the 60s and all that. There were six rock bands among my classmates, all playing together. Everybody was a drummer and everybody was a bass player, and it got all competitive and that too. But the engagement with music was total. And for me I started playing drums on my 13th birthday. My parents got me drum lessons. And the advice I always give to parents too is, they'll say, "Oh, I want to get my kid some drums. Which one should I get?" I say, "Well, get a pair of sticks and a practice pad and lessons, and see how it goes for a year. And if they're playing that practice pad, or like me, I'd spread magazines around my bed, and it would be Keith Moon's drums, you know?
I used pillows.
Yeah, and exactly. It totally relates to the air drumming thing. I would make these wonderful drum sets out of magazines and then beat the covers off them. But from my 13th birthday on, and then I had lessons every Saturday and go and practice all week and learn sight reading and playing by ear both. My teacher was great on that. But even at the lesson, we were just playing practice pad drums. I didn't play real drums for probably until after the first year, and then got a little 3-piece set. And I was talking with my dad the other day, and we were reminiscing about he would take me up to my drum lessons on Saturdays, or I got him to meet me there one day because they had a set of gray Ripple Rogers. I was all crazy for little drums, a little 18-inch bass drum, 14-inch floor tom, and 12-inch tom. And I'd stare at those Rogers drums every week at my lesson. Finally, through my mom, I got my dad to show up there and talk about them. They were $750. And my dad would co-sign for the loan if I made the payments. So I cut lawns, and I worked at my dad's farm equipment dealership and everything to pay that $32 a month. I still remember what the payment was all these years later. But
you paid it off?
I paid it off.
Okay.
And but if I ever broke a head or cymbals, terrible. But then I had a cracked cymbal, and the guy at the music store gave me credit as a teenager, and this was like a step into the big world and trust that it gave me, and then paying that back as a matter of responsibility, and it was an urge to work too, so I could buy that new cymbal. I would work for my dad during holidays or something to make that happen. But the transition in life of suddenly having that mission, and then I played at the school variety show, and it went really well, and my parents were there and they were proud, and the other kids were making a big fuss, and it was the first time I'd done anything that was cool, and that brought me some respect among the kids, because I was, kind of a brainy nerd, and, power nose. There's no coolness factor there. No. But after I did a drum solo at the variety show and all the kids were buzzing about it, suddenly I had like an inch of cool in my life. And what a difference that made. And then started playing in bands. It was the end of my scholastic career, unfortunately, because we just ended up band practice after school, or you'd skip school and go to the music store and talk about drums and talk about bands and all that stuff. It became a completely consuming culture through my teenage years, but so validating in all those ways, something you could be creative in. Not that we knew those words when you're 14, 15, but it is what you're doing. You're getting together with the other guys and learning songs, learning to imitate, and figuring out how you're going to do something. The socializing aspect, when you're in a band with 4 or 5 guys, you're brothers, however long it lasts, but that was such an important part of the period too, and the instrument and the sense of community and the validation of performing and learning and getting better.